Yeah, I'm making a game. Well, actually, I've already made the game. But that part is not important for any of yous. The game's name is DwarVein, and I'm going to show you the development journey from start to finish. But before that, I'm going to take you on a journey down the road of all my prior projects. So, taking it back about a year, I decided I wanted to make video games, so I joined the game jam. This game jam lasted for, I think it was 1 week at the time, and well, I wasn't very successful. I started with, as everyone would, with a Heartbeast YouTube tutorial, his top-down RPG one to be exact, and I put my own spin on it. So the idea for the game jam was about healing and health, so I decided that we were going to gather a few materials that you have to craft an elixir to rescue a dragon who was injured at spawn. Now, it was more similar to a Zelda game minus the exploration because it was quite linear, but the best thing I got out of it was a pretty cool boss battle I made. Taking a look back, it was actually 2 years ago I started that project because last year was actually when I decided to start stealing metal. I was watching Wall-E and I decided, you know what, a robot would be cool. So I made a toaster that got one wheel and some bulked up fists and a gun because why not? Why not a gun? This was the game. It was going to be a Metroidvania. Scope creep incoming. But basically, you know, I was getting the progress. I was working on the project and, well, as any new developer goes through, I lost motivation at some point. But no, in Stealing Metal, you were a robot toaster, never gave a name to the main character. You were traveling the ruins of Earth, trying to get all your parts back because you got thrown into a trash heap. I never finished the story, unfortunately, but that was the idea. That was where I was about to begin my mock finals. Sitting inside biology class, as you do, I think of a video game. Whack-a-mole, but you're a miner. That was it. That was the beginning of DwarVein. So this idea came in just before my mock finals were about to begin. I had probably about 3 weeks before they actually started. So, as anyone would do, I started making the game. But yeah, starting with the character, I had no programming in the game yet. I just drew this character. So, as you can see in this early prototype, it was a small scene at the time, and there were gems that would increase your score. I was aiming for it to be a mobile project because I wanted to do something just a little different. The aim of this game was to make a full-fledged game, no more scope creep, stay motivated, and release the game. Starting off, I don't write anything down for the game. It's all in my head, and that's where all the ideas have come from, and that's how I've managed the entire game. It works for me for the size of the game because it's such a smaller game in general, but that was the idea. It was going to be a small game. For my very first release game, I had to keep it small because I want to release it and not go down the same route I went for every other game I made, which was never finished. And what I finally settled upon was whack-a-mole with hats, with currency, with levels. And then every level included a new enemy. Now, I can't design a title screen for my life, so I just made a little animation of the character running away from one of the statues. Along with that, I wanted power-ups, night vision, speed, and an insta-mine because, I don't know, I thought insta-mine would be cool. As I begun working on the game, one thing I soon realized was the beginning colors I used were god-awful. So I completely overhauled them, and DwarVein looks the way it is now because of that. As much as I want to change things and go back, we're on a strict schedule. I want to release this game. I don't want to over-perfect because then I'll go down the same route as many others and just not finish the project I'm doing. Now, at this point, I had the first level with the first 2 enemies, the crystals, the power-ups. It felt like this was the game. I could have shipped this right here, right now, and it would be okay. It would be like, okay, that's someone's first game. But I wanted a bit more. So I came up with this idea. I woke up in my sleep and I'm like, we need a world map like Super Mario World. Similar, not the same. So I decided to sketch up a concept by drawing the whole thing out in a sprite and not on paper. And as you can see, I kind of gave a little mock-up on how the character was going to move around it. There was different locations, and so that the player could tell what difficulty was tied to each level, I had them in a tiered system. So the beginning level was the grassland in the bottom left, the desert was the mid-tier level, and then the hard level was going to be the snow biome, so I had that in the top right. This way, without having to actually tell the player which one's more difficult, they could view it just from on screen. To further help with that later on, I added lighting to them so that the grassland cave has a green light, the desert cave has an orange light, and then the snow cave has a red light. It just makes it so that I don't have to add more icons. Because at this point I added an early menu system, and one of the things I wanted, and the reason why I added the world screen, was because I didn't want too many menus. I didn't want the game to feel like you were going through so many interfaces to get to places. I wanted it to feel like a character roaming a world. Even though it's a small 2D mobile game, I wanted this feeling. So the whole essence of the world hub is that this is your level select, your house, and the shop. Well, there'll be more on them later. I went through a few different design choices and I settled on the animation player. Godot has the best animation player when it comes to trying to get things to work. I have it pretty much scripted, so there's moving from one place to another place and that place back to give it that same essence that I wanted, and this worked perfectly. You go to location, you're able to enter each location, and it just gives life to the actual hub itself. At the beginning I made 6 hats, as you can see on screen, and then later on I added more. 4 for each cave that I added. So with the desert cave I included 4 hats, and also in the snow cave I included 4 more hats. Now, talking about caves actually, with the desert cave I introduced a new hazard and also a new enemy. The enemy was the mimic. So my idea with the desert was I was thinking along the lines of Egyptian tombs or pyramids, and I was like, a lot more treasure is what you want to find in a desert. But the catch was with the desert is, while you'll find more treasure, there's more of a chance for those chests to actually be mimics, and it just gives the character a bit of a risk-reward situation where you don't know if the chest is going to be a mimic or not. Now, alongside that, I also added quicksand. Well, quicksand, so to say. It wasn't going to kill you, that wasn't the aim of it. It was, the quicksand's goal was to slow the player down when you walk through it. I also created the snow cave afterwards. I also added a new enemy to the snow biome, which, well, on my hub I decided to add a snowman. So naturally I decided the snowman was going to be the new enemy. And again, similar to how I added the mimic, I wanted it to add more challenge while also removing from the gameplay. So the idea with the snowman is that he's stationary, but he throws giant snowballs at you. Early on, I have a bit of an Easter egg of what they sound like. I don't know if I'll play it in the video, but you might find it in the game yourself. Alongside the snowman, I also added another hazard for the snow biome, and that was ice, because of course, ice, snow, you need it. And with ice, you had no friction, so you'd slip and slide around the place, which with the snowman throwing objects towards you, you would also have the trouble of trying to avoid said objects because you're slipping around. And that's what made him feel dangerous. And linking all the enemies in that one level, that made the snow cave the most dangerous level to play in the game. But in turn, you got the most rewards because there was a lot more of the blue crystals. I decided to get to work on the actual shop system. As you can see in the background, I'm just going to show you a little bit on how the shop works. But it just lays out all the hats. They're animated, you go up to them, you get to see what stats they have, how much they cost. Each one with a varying cost, and some of them are more difficult to get than the others. And the kind of goal with them is you're unlocking them as you're going up the levels. As you earn more gems in the higher levels, you end up purchasing the better hats. And by the end, you collect them all. Now, by this time, my mocks had started, so development has kind of slowed down, but I introduced pets. And at first, it was just a slime that I had a rare chance that you'd find it in the cave. But later down the line, I decided I'm going to get 10 pets in total. Well, it was 9 plus an extra one that was to do a competition in my Discord. And if you haven't joined the Discord, you can join below as well. That's where you can keep up to date on the game and know where we are and how close we are to full release on mobile platforms. The game's already out on itch at the moment, and you can try it on both computers and also Android devices. And if you want to further support me, you can also get the DLC version, which includes a few extra cosmetic hats that you can wear over the unlocked hats, and also an extra pet. But I didn't want to keep stock music in my game. That's where my friend Jack reached out to me and offered to create the music for the game. And in my opinion, he done an excellent job of capturing the vibe I wanted of DwarVein. So that's everything pretty much discussed about how DwarVein became a thing. And if you like the content of this video, be sure to like and subscribe. And if you have any opinions on the game, be sure to leave a comment down below. If you have any suggestions, let me know as well. And if you want to try the game, be sure to go onto itch and download it there. It is free if you want to just give it a shot. And if you're really keen on staying up to date, you can also join the Discord down below. And that is everything. And I really appreciate yous for listening until the end if yous are still here. And I will catch yous in the next one, which will probably be soon enough, as I'm thinking of joining a game jam on this upcoming weekend. So bye for now, and I will see yous all around.